That is why this gift from God, this gift of profound love and regard for humanity, must be given with great urgency and great seriousness. You do not realize what a prize you are living on, this beautiful world, and how rare such worlds are in the universe, and how advanced technological nations have outstripped their home worlds and must now search and travel for resources. In fact, this is not a mystery. This is part of nature that you can understand. The history of the universe is not so different from the history of your world, where the strong will dominate the weak if they can. This is why you cannot be complacent. You cannot be foolish and self-indulgent. You cannot be lazy and indolent in the face of either the great waves of change or this intervention from the greater community in which you live. This represents the great warning that the new message is providing. Yet the new message provides a blessing and a preparation, for humanity has the power to offset this intervention and to face and navigate the difficult times ahead within your world. Humanity has sown the seeds of its own demise through misuse and overuse of the world, but this can be mitigated to a great degree. An adaptation can occur. But to do this, humanity will have to unite. It will have to end its ceaseless conflicts and prepare to face a world in decline and to face competition from the greater community. Here your times have the power to either defeat you or to unite you and uplift you. The decision rests not only with governments, but with each person, their ability to face change, to respond to change, to prepare for change, to adapt to change and to unite together for mutual security. For the emphasis now must not be on the national security for one nation alone, but on security for the entire world. Interventions such as you are facing now will continue because you are a weak and divided race living on a beautiful planet. This will draw others here to attempt, primarily through persuasion and guile, to influence humanity to unite with them, to become dependent upon them and to trust in them. These persuasions will not cease even if this intervention is thwarted. It is like the young girl entering the big city, thinking that everyone will be her friend, not having an idea of how she could be preyed upon and taken advantage of, and all of the myriad persuasions that can be placed upon her to acquiesce, to give herself over. This is the complexity and challenge of living in physical reality. Yet God has given you a deeper knowledge that cannot be manipulated, that cannot be persuaded, and that cannot fall under any kind of persuasion, whether its source be human or from beyond the world. Knowledge within you only responds to God and to knowledge within others. It cannot be manipulated, it cannot be persuaded, and that is why it represents your greatest strength, your core strength, the most reliable aspect of yourself. That is why knowledge and the emergence of knowledge will play a key role in determining the outcome for humanity, which at this moment remains unsure and unresolved. Knowledge is the most powerful force in the universe, and the intervention is not using it, or it would not be intervening here. Humanity is a rich spiritual heritage despite its many errors. You do not realize what a great advantage you have in these initial encounters with life in the universe. You do not recognize your strengths. It is your weaknesses that will be preyed upon by this intervention and by any future interventions. That is why it is your strength that must be encouraged, that must be revealed, and that must be shared, acknowledged and brought to bear. That is what the new message emphasizes. You have no idea how to prepare for the greater community. There is no one in the world who knows how to do this. Either a foreign power could teach you this or God could teach you this. However, a foreign power would be unlikely to do that unless they had a special interest here, unless they had designs of their own. So the message must come from God. Those allies who have sent their wisdom will not intervene. For the truth is, humanity is not ready to encounter beneficial races in the universe. You do not have the unity. You do not have the power. You do not have the discernment or the wisdom. And you do not yet have the discretion. Real beneficial contact with life in the universe may not happen until humanity has faced and overcome the great waves of change. But in the interim, others will attempt to intervene, to take advantage of increasing human conflict and uncertainty, the uncertainty and conflict that can be generated by the great waves of change themselves. Do not fall into the trap of thinking that this is about love or fear. That is a fool's discernment. It is about wisdom or no wisdom. It is about responsibility or irresponsibility. It is about seeing the truth or not seeing the truth. It is about responding to reality or not responding to reality. Eventually, you will have to overcome your fear to gain a greater strength and a greater objectivity. But that is the goal. To reach this position of clarity and strength, you must face the great threshold that all humanity is now encountering. You must prepare for it, and you must outgrow your childish fantasies and your foolish distractions. Particularly in the wealthy nations, people who have been used to losing themselves in their pleasures, their hobbies and their addictions must now awaken to the reality that their preeminence in the world is being challenged and that the earth itself will not be able to provide for them what they are used to receiving from it. The poorer people of the world understand deprivation. They understand intervention. They understand manipulation, for they have been living under it and suffering under it for so very long. It is the wealthy people who are ignorant, who are blinded. It is they who must bring to bear the strengths of humanity. It is they who must unite the nations to preserve human freedom and sovereignty in this world and to assure that human civilization does not crumble under the weight and the force of the great waves of change. You must hear the power of this message. You must have strength of heart. You must have courage. If you run away, there will be no place to hide, and you will only weaken your position, making you more vulnerable in the future. Time now is of the essence, time to see, time to know, time to prepare and time to encourage human unity and human freedom. You do this not only for its own merits, but to secure humanity's ability to face the great waves of change and to face an intervention that to this day operates with very little human awareness and very little human resistance. Do not think that any foreign power would come here to try to help you without wanting something from you. Do not think any foreign power would extend itself to humanity and its difficult circumstances, expending this wealth and this energy, unless they had a great and secret motive. History teaches you that intervention is always carried out for self-interest, and that the races who face intervention, should they succumb, will be devastated by it and in some cases destroyed entirely. You have seen this in your history. It is known in your world. It is part of your experience of life and of nature. You must be realistic. You must be honest. The situation is not as confusing as you think it is. The cloud of confusion is perpetrated by forces both human and alien who seek to keep humanity out of the picture, who want to keep humanity divided, weak and unresponsive. But the picture itself can be easily seen if you have the courage to see and the right information and understanding. But it creates a deceptive environment, this intervention. It has many human allies now who are part of its deception, who will speak of the great alien presence, its gifts of technology and its promise for humanity's future. Be very careful now. Be very careful and use discernment. Do not fall under such persuasions perpetrated by powers that have never revealed their true purpose and meaning, that function here in secret, that are engaged in many activities, many of which are nefarious in nature. Reserve your judgment until you can learn and see more clearly. The blessing that the new message is presenting is the recognition and assurance that humanity is a greater power, the power of knowledge. Humanity has a long tradition of religion and spirituality that, despite its many errors, has kept humanity's ability to follow knowledge alive and has kept compassion and giving alive in this world, whereas these things have failed in so many other worlds. Humanity has great strengths and great promise. Religion and spirituality are still alive here in contrast to where they have died out in highly technological societies. In this, you have a gift to give to the universe. But first you must survive the great waves of change. And you must survive these initial attempts at intervention into the world. You must unite. You must be self-sufficient. And you must be extremely discreet. These are the three requirements for any world or association of worlds to establish if they are to be free and self-determined in a universe full of greater persuasions, in a universe where competition is taking place on a scale you cannot even imagine. It is time for humanity to grow up, to unite and to become strong. It is time for humanity to cease to be a weak and divided steward of a beautiful planet and to become strong and united for the preservation of the world and for the preservation and advancement of human freedom and sovereignty here. God has given you this world to provide everything you need. Should you exhaust your natural inheritance, you will have to seek what you need from other powers in the universe. If this occurs, you will lose much of your freedom and self-determination, becoming only a client state to foreign powers, who will not hesitate to take advantage of your weakened, dependent position. This gift is a gift of love. It is a gift that comes with great urgency. It calls to a greater knowledge and sobriety within you. Your intellect, your thinking, personal mind that has been so conditioned by the world may argue against it, may contend against it, may refuse it, may deny it, may try to compare it with other things, or may try to unite it with other things. But this communication is for a deeper part of you, the part of you that cannot be fooled and that is not foolish, the part of you that is strong, the part of you that is naturally compassionate, the part of you that is united and capable of union with others. Humanity has great promise to become a free and advancing race in the universe. But to achieve this, it must face the results of its own misuse of the world. It must unite. It must become strong, and it must care for this world so that its self-sufficiency can be maintained into the future. Only if you can achieve this will beneficial contact with other races be possible. And even here you will need to exercise great discernment and discretion. For freedom in the universe is rare. Free and self-determined races in the universe are rare. In this, you do not realize the great advantages that you already possess in the limited freedom that you have been able to establish here in this world, and how much it has produced a benefit for humankind. This is the world you have come to serve. It may not be what you want it to be, but it is right for why you are really here, for you have come with a greater purpose and a mission. You have come to make specific contributions to the world in concert with certain other people. This represents your greater purpose, not the purpose that your imagination creates or that your society emphasizes, but the greater purpose that is born of your union with God. You have come into the world facing great waves of change and intervention. This is the world you have come to serve. If you cannot recognize it, if you cannot face it, then your service will never be valued and never be rendered. Therefore, the first great threshold is to face the great threshold. And that is why this message, this preparation for the greater community and for the great waves of change are being given to you now.